Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to touch upon the Victorinox full-size plier multi-tools, okay? This is a Swiss tool model. I don't want to do like a specific review on this one because so far I've used the Phillips head screwdriver, I've used the saw just a little bit, I used the blade a little bit. I only got to carry this for a couple days. Obviously, everyone's home, quarantined and stuff, so this is really just kind of a first impressions of their version, basically, of like Leatherman's, let's just say. Leatherman is probably the most known company out there making a full-size, dedicated plier multi-tool. All right, so that, I mean, it's very specific because obviously Victorinox has their, multi-tools, which are small, like their Swiss Army knives, I think, are more known by Victorinox than, their full-size, Swiss tools like this. But when you're talking about a multi-tool that is basically stemming off of a pair of pliers, that's a specific type of multi-tool in my opinion, right? And Leatherman is just across the board the most known. Everyone knows about Leathermans, right? In fact, so much so that Leatherman is used as a generic term for this type of tool. It could be any brand, any quality level, people call them Leathermans. If I left this on a table somewhere at a work site, I'd be like, oh yeah, grab me that Leatherman. That's what people say, right? Gerber makes them. I'm not even going to go into all the different companies that make full-size multi-tools. There's a million of them, right? And prices are all over the place. You can go from a $5 cheap, no-name Chinese multi-tool like this you could find, on Amazon or something, all the way up to, really expensive ones. About $150, $180 is like the most expensive I've ever seen this style of tool. Now, I was really interested in getting one of these because I wanted to kind of compare it to Leatherman as a whole. And although I only have one Swiss tool, it would be more fair if I had a bunch of them. I could tell you that I think it's better. I really do think it's better, and it's not like it's light years better. I've had multiple Leathermans, and also it really depends on what model, because there's $40 Leathermans that are like this, and then there's $120, $130 Leathermans like this. Generally speaking, Leatherman obviously has way more models, way more variance on price and stuff, so it really fits a bunch of people's budget. The difference between a charged TTI and, let's say a Sidekick or something is it's more than twice the price. So not all Leathermans are created equal, I'll say that. I am comparing this to the most expensive Leathermans that I've had. The Swiss tools start at $100. I don't think I've seen one that is less than $100. So you have to understand there is a higher price tag for these. So I wouldn't compare this directly to a Sidekick, or a Wingman or something like that. All right, I'm comparing these to the higher end or more expensive Leatherman tools. So overall, all the Leathermans that I've had, I've been extremely happy with, even the cheaper ones. They've always served their purpose. They've always been very good quality. I would still 110% recommend a Leatherman, any model that happens to fit your needs and your budget. But I have to say, after using this just a little bit, I'm sold. I'm totally sold on Victorinox for their full-size Swiss tools. So I zoomed in a little bit here to show you that logo. All right, very, very polished tool. Every inch of this thing is super polished. You can see on the reverse side, there's the same logo as well. All right, like I said, overall, I've been really, really impressed with this. Everything about it just screams quality. Now, you have Leatherman quality here, but like I said, just maybe a hair better. Just a hair more finished. The handles, and again, this is just one particular model, so it's hard to say this one tool is better than the dozens of other tools from this company. It's very hard to compare that. But just overall, all of my experiences with Leatherman has been great. This one's just even better. It's just super well finished, super rounded and polished and everything, so using the pliers is very, very comfortable. Only downside on this is I do prefer spring pliers, okay? Although it's not a huge deal. I can definitely manipulate pliers without having a spring. Having it automatically open, so you can just do the squeezing part is obviously a nice little bonus. But you can get that in a $5 multi-tool. It doesn't matter what brand you're talking about. That's just, it's different between, a non-spring plier and a spring plier. So yeah, I mean, if I can make this any better, I would throw a spring in it and it would be absolutely perfect. But like I said, I mean, the fit and finish is just like, it's amazing. It really is awesome. Super, super comfortable to use the full-size pliers. But what I really like about this one is that all the tools are accessible from the closed position, okay? That's a huge deal. I think people who carry these, you're using stuff like the knife blade, maybe the screwdrivers, probably more than the pliers. Now, if you're carrying this specifically in a trade, plumber, electrician, etc., carpenter, whatever, you might actually be using the pliers more so. But I think just the common person, most of the people watching, including myself, just carrying this for the variety of tools, the pliers get used, but not all that much, right? You are using the knife blade and some of the other tools just as much or more than the pliers, right? So the fact that the pliers, even though they're easily accessible, you just open it up and you got your pliers. Once you pull the tool out of its pouch or pocket or wherever you happen to be carrying it, just to go right to some of the other tools is really, really nice, okay? So going back to fit and finish, all right, when you open this thing, both handles snap, okay? They snap into place. Like it's hard to explain that. Let me do that again, okay? So as I'm opening it, you'll hear two snaps, two distinctive da-da. That's one, that's two, right? So each handle, if I hold the head here, each handle, once it gets to the breaking point, it really just firmly snaps into place. It feels really, really good. It's just hard to explain that. Using a Leatherman, it's totally fine. I'm not crapping on a Leatherman because of this. I'm just saying this is just a touch nicer. These little tiny things. When you use these multi-tools all the time, you'll really understand it better. But anyway, just opening it, that very secure feeling of those snapping together. All right, so they're firm. Obviously, this handle is controlling this part of the head and vice versa. So you want that to be nice and stiff. You don't want it to wobble around, obviously, while you're using the pliers. As far as like the plier head, the very tip, you can see there is a gap here. And I will say that some Leathermans line up better than this, okay? So like the teeth that are on here, they're totally flat. There's no gap whatsoever. So the fact that there's a little gap there, it might bother some people. And looking at it head on, they do grind this, as one piece when it's closed. So they do come, together at the very end. But again, that little bit of light poking through there, you can see it's not totally flat. Some of the leather models that I've had before have been totally flat, so that would be considered better. All right, so this may be inferior plier heads to some people. I don't use the pliers enough to really justify saying, oh, the other ones are so much better when you get the other ones. But I will say that Leatherman probably has it as far as that goes, okay? Maybe a cleaner fit on the actual, mouth of the pliers. As far as the other tools, they all lock, okay? And I really like the locking mechanisms. All right, there's just a little slide switch here. This is very common on a bunch of different models from a bunch of different companies. Sometimes, these are obviously shaped different depending on the company, but I really like the way these are designed, okay? They're rounded and they're jimped, and it's on both sides. And it's very, very easy to manipulate that. You get a really awesome grip, but it's comfortable. All right, your hand's not going to slide off, and it probably won't slide off on any other models as well. But this is just like extra comfortable to use. I really like it. Nice strong spring on there. All right, so let me back this out a little bit. So when you're opening the different tools, all right, I have not used this one. This is a very interesting tool. A couple different blades, kind of a chisel tip there. Looks like maybe a wire stripper down the bottom. Very, very interesting tool. But anyway, it locks in place nice and firm. All right, just push down on there. And it doesn't move that much. There's only a little bit of movement. You have to knock that off center so that you can close it. Okay, so locked up, tiny bit of movement, and you can close your tool. Now again, just with quality, fit, and finish, these tools snap in. You see there's the saw blade. When you get to the end there, it just snaps in very nicely. Really, really like that. It's very satisfying. The scissors, which I love, by the way. Scissors are a very often used tool on multi-tools. I just really like the way this feels. All right, let me back the camera out again. Something else I want to talk about is I don't like the way these handles flare out. It looks like it's broken or crooked or something, right? So that, I mean, design-wise, it looks a little weird, but it ends up being super comfortable, okay? It's totally not by accident. I happen to really like the scissors on this. Scissors on multi-tools are something that do get used quite a bit. Even though you have a knife blade, sometimes scissors are just more appropriate. All right, just easier for that particular cutting task. Again, locked in nice and firm. Just pull down the lock very easily and snap, right? They snap in. So going to the blade here, snaps open very nicely, all right? That same Victorinox blade we all have on our Swiss Army knives. Very, very sharp, very, very lean. I really like the way this feels, okay? Because this handle comes up and over, because they're spread out a little bit, it just feels really good. It's very, very comfortable to use this knife. Also very important to note is that the blade is facing out on the outward handle, okay? What I mean by this is sometimes on multi-tools, the blade would be positioned how it is on this handle. And I don't like that because obviously the blade is further away from where you're cutting, okay? Being that this cutting edge is on the far part, it basically lines up with your fingers here. It feels very natural, just like any kind of like pocket knife or something. In other words, the blade's exactly where it's supposed to be. It's extremely comfortable to use. Sometimes when they position it on this handle facing that way, or like let's say it's like this, okay? Let's say the blade edge is on this side. This is the position it's on some type of multi-tools. And although, you know, it works, it cuts stuff, it's just not as effective. It's not as thought out, in my opinion. Okay, that's exactly where it should be. And it's super, super comfortable. Again, the entire tool is very polished, very rounded. All right, no hot spots whatsoever in using this knife. And I was actually able to use this pretty tough, okay? Cutting through, you know, thick, extra thick cardboard, doing a ton of cardboard cutting. I mean, that's most of the work I did with this tool so far. I just really, really liked it. And again, I mean, it locks up nice. There's no blade play at all. All right, pull down the little tiny lever there and snaps back in. Another tool I used in here was the Phillips head screwdriver, which I also really liked quite a bit. Okay, if I zoom in on this head, you can see it's kind of mushroomed out a little bit, which is a very nice design because even though it tapers pretty small, if you have a larger Phillips head screw, the screw head, because it flares out, it will still grab those larger heads and you're not going to strip it out. So in other words, because of this design, you have a variety of different sizes of Phillips head screws that you can use this on. So very cool. Again, nice and firm. I just really liked it. And that's about it for the tools. Scissors, saw, Phillips head screwdriver, and blade is about all I used. There's tons of other tools in here in this particular one. Again, it's not on this specific one. It's just overall my feeling on these Swiss tools. I have to say I'm a huge fan. So when it comes down to, hey, what's better, Leatherman or Victorinox for a full-size plier multi-tool? I'm gonna say Victorinox. And it's a very, very small margin. I'm not saying Leatherman's bad at all. I have dozens of Leatherman multi-tools. I love them all. I'll continue to use them. However, personally, this is the one I'm carrying. It's the one I have been carrying. It's the one I'm going to continue to carry. Also a downside, maybe on this one, no pocket clip. Okay, if this particular model had a pocket clip and a spring-loaded plier, it would really be like the perfect multi-tool. But for me, as you guys saw in my last EDC update, I have those tactical pants and I have a dedicated knife pocket next to the regular pocket, but it really has just been absolutely perfect with those particular pants because it just slips in very easily. It comes out very easily. I don't need a pocket clip on this one because it carries deeply. Yeah, I mean, I'm sold. I have to say I'm totally sold. It took me many, many years to get one of these things. And it's not because they're hard to get. I just never had interest. I'm like, yeah, I love my Leathermans. I'm like, yeah, one day I'll try it. One day I'll try it. People bring it up. Hey, you know, did you ever try the Victorinox Swiss tools and stuff? I'm like, no, they look nice. You know, people are like, oh, they're great. You got to try them. I'm like, yeah, you know, I like my Leathermans. And I've used plenty of cheap, you know, no-name multi-tools, and they work okay for, you know, the dedicated plier. But I have to say, this is just like a notch above, okay? If like, over here is all the crap, this is all the junk stuff, you know, $5, $10 multi-tools. And then you go all the way up here and you have your Leathermans. Really, really nice quality, right? There's a Swiss tool. It's just a touch better, in my opinion. So anyway, those are my opinions on the Victorinox Swiss tool. Now I just want more of them. I want every model that they ever had so I can try some other ones. But my initial impressions of this one has been very, very positive. It's basically like a really nicely finished Leatherman. Not every single aspect of this is going to be better. Like I said, if you want a pocket clip, you go with a Leatherman. Leatherman has a ton of models with pocket clips that are awesome. And again, although this has wonderful fit and finish, part of the fit is, of course, how these jaws come together on the plier head. All right, although these are totally fine for my needs, you might need or want something that's perfect, okay? So there's no gap there or anything like that. In that case, yes, some of the Leathermans that I've had have been better, all right? But overall, the entire picture, I still feel like this is just a touch better quality than Leatherman. So to kind of sum up my experience with this, Overall, I just think it's been really, really comfortable. I mean, I can really crank on this, and those nice round, very polished edges are super comfortable to use. I like that quite a bit. I really like the fact that in the closed position, okay, without opening it and accessing the plier, I can access all the other tools, okay, because a lot of these other tools are being used even more than the plier itself. And I also just really like the design on these little locks. All right, it's just really comfortable and easy to use. So all that being said, I still love Leatherman. I still think they make some of the best multi-tools in the world. And don't forget, Leatherman has the variety. Leatherman has the massive range of models with specific tools that you might need, or different models that are in your budget. Not everyone can spend more than $100. And like I said, I don't think there's any Swiss tools that are less than 100. They're like 100 to 150 or whatever, depending on which ones you want. So the price obviously is always a factor. So something that's a little bit more expensive is usually a little bit nicer. Not always the case. Leatherman definitely gets the win on variety. They have just so many different models to choose from in so many different budget levels. But just overall, the overall picture, overall experience, I have to say I'm very, very happy with the Victorinox Swiss tool. So yeah, that's been my experience thus far. So anyway, just wanted to share that with everyone. If you've never checked out one of the Victorinox Swiss tools, I would highly recommend it. Especially if you have a nice Leatherman and you've really enjoyed it for years on end and you just never considered this, like myself, you're missing out. It's worth trying. I'd also love to hear your comments down below for all the people who have both. If you've had a couple Leathermans and some good experience with them, and you've had a couple of these Victorinox Swiss tools and you like those as well, I'd love to hear your opinions, overall as a brand. Not just specific models, but overall as a brand. What do you think about it? Do you think that the Victorinox Swiss tools are just a touch ahead, or do you think they're about the same, or do you prefer Leatherman over it? A lot of opinions out there. Mine's not the only one that counts. Everyone's opinion counts. So post your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.